Hello everyone, I'm Cristina, and I'm going to speak to you about if internet access should be considered a human right. The aim of this presentation is to raise awareness about this concept and also to point out some aspects that need improvements or future answers. I'll start with some facts regarding the right to internet access. In 2016, the UN, the United Nations, released a non-binding resolution stating that the same rights people have offline must also be protected online. You can see here an extras from that text. However, even if the right to internet access was called as being a human right, the UN resolution only recommends actions for nation states and lacks any enforcement mechanisms. Some countries have already taken affirmative action. You can see here some examples, including the fact that Finland was the first country where internet access was declared a human right. The model implemented in Finland is assuring broadband connection to all citizens, establishing a basic quantity and quality available to anyone. By 2010, the goal of the state was to assure basically 1 megabits per second, and by 2015 to assure a 100 megabytes per second connection. Here, you can see a scale of the internet users by geographical zone in 2017. Also, almost 40% of the world population has access to internet today. However, there are some arguments against the right to internet access, and I will present to you 4 main critiques brought against considering it a human right. The first argument is about economical and political challenges around the right to internet access. In order to make it applicable, practically states should have the necessary funds and infrastructure. This makes assuming responsibility for it at the world scale almost impossible. Also, the political challenges around the access to internet topic are very sensitive. Some states currently ban access to internet, censor it, create firewalls, or even convict currently people for accessing internet. China's firewall is an example of such a situation, and the fact that within Chinese territory, the internet is under the jurisdiction of Chinese sovereignty. Here, you can see the documented shutdowns happening in 2016 and 2017. For some, the states gave no reason at all, and for others, the reasons are considered false or hide real motives, like stopping protests or controlling elections. Considering the political and economical context, it's difficult to envision and persuade states to actively involve themselves in promoting internet access as a human right. The second argument is that internet currently is more a commodity than a human right. Internet is a technology like many others, as we well know, and access to it mostly is in charge of the private sector. The nature of it implies that in order to actually use internet, people need terminals, electricity, necessary infrastructure, and maintenance. This creates a potential limitation of a human right. The third argument is that access to internet does not stand on its own as a value. It is often associated with freedom of expression, right to assembly, or right to development. The right to internet access can be considered a situation of human rights inflation, where every separate group considers that its interests have to become basically a human right. Also, the online environment is the place for crime sometimes or harmful content, and this cannot stand on its own as values to be promoted and show that internet is a tool that doesn't imply a certain value apart from the ones already existing. Now, the fourth argument is that we don't have a clear notion about the internet use, nor its evolution in the future. The main purposes of internet are to be defined, and society currently lacks a clear regulation in the matter. We can find a variety of activities that are happening online, and we cannot define internet by one in specific. Also, the evolution of it in the future can lead to situations where as a human right needs to be redefined or even not considered anymore a value. In the end, I'm going to leave you with a quote from Karl Popper that speaks about the fact that Only critical discussion can give us the maturity to see an idea from more and more sides and to make a correct judgment of it. I hope you enjoyed the presentation, and thank you.
Thank you.